Good morning. I'm Joanna Sanders. I am a member of the board here at QUUF. I welcome you into this day at Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, a liberal religious congregation founded in 1976 and bound together to serve religious freedom, caring community, and social justice. As we gather, I acknowledge that the water, lands, and shorelines here in Port Townsend are the traditional territories of the S'Klallam and Chimicum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our Indigenous members and vow to restore and sustain these homelands. If you're visiting today, I offer a special welcome and invite you to join us for refreshments in the fellowship hall after the service. At the newcomers table, we have greeters who are happy to answer your questions. So may the welcome we offer you be in equal measure to the one in our hearts. And now we pause briefly to do some essential business of our congregation and have an announcement this week about our rummage sale. So help unclutter your home and garage and help the QUF budget at the same time by bringing your no longer needed possessions to the fellowship for this year's big rummage sale. You can bring your items to the fellowship next Thursday and Friday, so this coming week, for the big sale starting at 9 o'clock on Saturday, October 4th. So again, this Thursday and Friday, bring your items for the big sale, and it starts at 9 o'clock. It is going to be a lot of fun, and thank you to the volunteers who work so hard to put that together. Let us settle our minds and calm our hearts.
Good morning. Nice to see you all again. Each time UUs gather, we light our chalice, a symbol for the lamp of truth and acceptance. We light it for the building of bridges across chasms of not knowing, all those places we cannot see. And we light it for all of our chosen family that gathers here each week, respectful and caring. The chalice is the heart of every UU community. So for all these reasons we have named, and in solidarity with UUs everywhere, we light this flame once again. May it ever be so, and blessed be you all. You're invited to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing Gather the Spirit, number 347 in the gray hymnal. I would like to invite the young and the young at heart to come forward for the story for all ages. Hello. Welcome.
Sorry. Not the underground.
That's all right. And we have more people coming. All right. So imagine with me that you're going along a trail in the woods and you come across a steep gorge with a river rushing at the bottom. Do you know what a gorge is? It's like a valley and it's got a river down at the bottom. So there is only one way to get across this gorge. You see a bridge, and it's made of grass. Long, overgrown grass. No, it's made of grass. Long, thin pieces of grass. So what I want to know is what questions would be running through your mind before you set foot on that grass bridge. Am I going to die? Oh my goodness. What else would you be thinking about before you tried to cross it? Will it break? Yeah. Anything else you're thinking about?
How many people have walked through it before?
How many people have walked across that bridge before? What I want to know more than anything else is if the people who made the bridge also walked across it and whether they still use it. Of course, we don't have bridges made of grass here in Washington, but many were built for hundreds of years in South America by the Inca people, and I think a few still exist. Here's how they did it.
I saw the wood bridge.
It wasn't wood, it was grass, I promise you. First, they made fresh bridges once a year. On the appointed day, everyone in the village would gather to work. Each person had a special role to play in building the bridge. First, there were people to gather the grass. Then other people took that grass and twisted it into long ropes. Then other people took those ropes and they wove them into thick braids. And those braids were twisted by other people into long cables that were as thick as my arm. Certain people strung the cables across the gorge and pulled them nice and tight. And finally, there were riggers who would lash the cables together in such a way as to create a footbed to walk on and rails on each side to hold on to. Each person did their part as best they could, and they relied on everyone else to do their part well, because every one of them needed that bridge to safely carry them across the river whenever they needed to go that way. I tell you about grass bridges this morning for two reasons. First, it reminds us of how important our small part is when it's part of something big and strong and even miraculous as a bridge made of grass. I have to say, I think it's miraculous that a bridge can be made of grass. And these bridges could span 60 feet. That's longer than the length of our sanctuary.
It's getting higher.
It is. And these bridges could hold 5 people at a time and llamas too. Second, we in each of our congregations may not be building bridges across a raging river, but we're building a way toward our future, our shared vision. I want to walk that way. I hope many of you will walk that way too. And if I'm going to walk that way, I want to walk a way that feels sure and strong and safe, a way that I know has been built well with everyone doing their part as best they can. So may we all build that way together, like the Inca grass bridge builders. Thank you.
I love that story.
You're good. I'm glad. So the next thing we do is we form a little thing to sing everyone out. There we go.
We pause for a time of generosity and to receive an offering, which today goes to the Winter Welcoming Center. Julia Cochran will come up to share a brief statement on their behalf.
Hi, my name is Julia Cochran. Those of you who know me know that a huge chunk of my life is about those who have no or inadequate shelter. The unhoused, whether institutionally sheltered or not, has been my lifelong passion. And this winter, I'm hoping this large congregation can offer a week a month of meals for those in our shelter. But today is about the Welcoming Center. 8 years ago, with the help of Paul Hines and Elizabeth Heiner, who are Presbyterians, the Winter Welcoming Center was founded under the sponsorship of the Jefferson Interfaith Action Coalition. Our mission is simple: to save lives. We do this by offering people a place to be during the day for the 5 coldest and wettest months of the year. It doesn't matter who you are or where you slept last night, you are welcome. In this world of diminishing resources, we're the ground under the ladder called continuum of care. We have no barriers to people accessing our services. We offer various single-serving meals like cup of soups, oatmeal, and there's always coffee and tea available. We also dispense a huge amount of clothing, personal hygiene items, camping equipment, tents, sleeping bags, hand warmers, etc., many of which have been donated through the gray box in the Fellowship Hall foyer or weekly brought from the Dove House closet. We have dog food for people's companions, shower vouchers for the Y, as well as harm reduction supplies. We used to offer laundry vouchers, but the cost became too high. Most of our staff has lived experience or is currently unhoused, and we collaborate with other organizations to offer a range of trainings that are open to all. Besides seeking financial help, I'm also actively seeking partners in stabilizing this needed foundation of support for the unhoused. So for this season, November through April, we will be at the Pope Marine Building again with the support of the city. We may open up slightly earlier than normal if the city proceeds with clearing the encampment by November 3rd. We're working with the health department, the county, and many others to create a year-round welcoming center that would feature showers, laundry, lockers, as well as a full set of harm reduction items and supports. But for now, we're still a place to be warm, charge your devices, get a bite to eat, and some information. 7 days a week, 4 hours a day for 5 months. All are welcome. Thank you.
The ushers will come among you to receive the offering, and additional ways for giving will be projected. Please join me in our offering words. This fellowship is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it.
That was lovely. Thank you. This meditation I borrow from my colleague, the Reverend Leif Seligman. Holy and unnameable mystery. We pause in the stillness to rest for a moment, to quiet ourselves so that we can feel what stirs within us. Each breath draws us closer to the pulse of life, and with each exhalation, we make room for something new. May we find in this gathering the comfort of those who care. May we encounter patience along our growing edges and compassion in our most tender spots. Here, may we find the inspiration and encouragement we need to face our challenges and nurture ourselves. And in the presence of suffering across the globe, may we redouble our efforts to practice kindness where we are, with the hope that the light of our actions travels like the light of faraway stars. May our gestures of compassion and generosity seed possibility. May we walk humbly with one another, choosing reconciliation over resentment as we try to live right-sized. When life presses in and shifts us off balance, when pain assails us, when frustration mounts, may the rhythm of our breath steady us and bring us back to a place of gratitude. In this space of gratitude and compassion, let us lift up the joys and sorrows of this community. This time is set aside to share joys and sorrows. We recognize that our personal joys and sorrows are only a fragment of the joys and sorrows of the larger community of life. And thus we place this first stone, thinking in particular of the cities and citizens who have been impacted by troops being deployed within their peaceful communities. We also light a candle. Kyan and Roger Anderson asked that we light a candle of joy. This week, on October 4th, they will celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. The roses here are in honor of the yellow roses that brightened the sanctuary when they were married. Congratulations on that major milestone. And now, within the congregation, we place a stone holding in our hearts the joys and sorrows among us, unexpressed and yet important. We each live our own stories, and we honor the weight and wonder of the experiences carried today. Blessed be.
Thank you, Ikue. Joining us this morning is Reverend Michael Walker, a longtime minister who has stepped back from serving churches and who also happens to be a member of our congregation. Following the collegial ethics of the UU ministry, he has been absenting himself from QUUF while we have been undergoing a ministerial transition. However, now that the interim part of that is settled, he was pleased to be invited to preach here again. He is joining us from Port Angeles, where he now works as full-time as a psychotherapist and is continuing his doctoral dissertation work about religious trauma. Welcome, Reverend Mike.
Thank you. In our congregation, we meet each week so that we may each refill our cup. We come to the fount of blessings to be refilled. Now one wonders, is the fount a place or is it the people at that place? Well, I've always believed it's the people, the community within a congregation that helps us to refill, to recharge, and to reconnect. We help each other, whether that be a kind word in coffee hour or working together during a community service event or reaching out to members who are homebound for whatever reason. All of these and more are part of the ministry of a congregation, and I plan to show today that the work of ministry is not just the work of a minister, it is our work, all of us, together. I think it's safe to say that throughout religious life in America, there is a common misconception that ministry is the work of ministers alone. We may hear the phrase shared ministry, but I'm not sure that it's always understood. The phrase was actually fairly confusing at a church I formerly served because there had actually been a church named Shared Ministry, and it had owned their building before the Unitarians bought it. So to reduce confusion every time someone wanted to talk about the concept of shared ministry, we began referring to it as collaborative ministry. I'm sure we weren't the first people to ever conceive of that phrase, but it was new to us, and using that phrase really helped us clarify our goals. By highlighting collaboration, we were saying that we each have a part to play. As in our story earlier, some gather the grass, others make the ropes. Various people would braid the ropes, then others wind them into cables and take them across the gorge. Still others come along to lash the cables together, and now they have made a bridge. It is a community-wide collaborative effort. Before we consider the parts we each play in the collaborative work of our congregations, let's first look at the broad underpinnings of our faith. We UUs have a theological imperative to share the ministry, in my opinion, due to the importance that our shared values hold for us. I'm going to share the new version of our values document because there may be someone new here who's never heard them before, so I'll share them now. Unitarian Universalism is a living tradition that has changed in many ways from the original Christian roots of its Universalist and Unitarian heritages, and it continues to evolve today. Most recently, this evolution has taken the form of adopting new language to describe who we are as UUs. At General Assembly in June 2024, UUs voted to replace the existing 7 principles and 6 sources language in our bylaws with language describing Unitarian Universalism through these shared values, all centered around love. Those values are interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence and acknowledge our place in it. Pluralism. We are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all feel welcome and can thrive. Transformation. We adapt to the changing world. Generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope and equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. At no time do our values raise up any person above another, including ministers. They talk about how all people are connected, coming from many places and many points of view, and yet still working for justice and equity and transformation, and doing so with a generous heart. That first value about interdependence is, in my mind, the clincher that tells me that ministry should be shared, that it should be a collaborative effort because that which affects one of us affects us all. Beyond those values, what our faith teaches us about shared ministry is that ministry is no longer an act provided only by those who are ordained or called to serve. Ministry happens wherever individuals embrace the belief that their good works, their volunteerism, their acts can help serve the mission and vision of their congregation. Where formerly people may have thought of themselves as just a volunteer or one of a nameless group of people performing a task, now more and more members of UU congregations understand that ministry is something shared by all who are part of a spiritual community, a way to put faith into action for the benefit of the church and the wider community. We do this work together to make a difference in the world, starting in our surrounding local communities. Do you know who I believe really embodies this idea of collaborative ministry? The youth, the young people. Anyone who has been involved with the UU youth conferences or cons or summer camps will already know this. One place where this really became clear for me were the times that I worked with church youth groups planning a youth-led Sunday service for the congregation. I say I worked with them, but the truth is that I just helped provide a framework and answer some questions. They came up with their own ideas and themes and picked out music with the help of the music director and then put on the services themselves. During this whole process, I watched these groups of kids make room for everyone to the level that each individual youth felt comfortable participating. Occasionally, I was asked to explain why we do this or that part in a service. The offering, for example. They were surprised to learn that the offering is not about giving money to the church. It's about doing something good for people, whether that be within our congregation or out in the community. It just happens that money is how we're able to do good work, and we're building a culture of generosity to make our collaborative ministries possible. That seemed to be an eye-opener for the youth who had strong values about social justice in particular, and we're happy to learn how our congregations also value that and support it through our gifts. But I digress. My point was this. When youth groups plan a service, it's all hands on deck. They share the air, as they say, not letting anyone dominate the process or the service they create. They tap the talents of their various members. They collectively craft a message, and in doing so, have never failed to impress me with the depth of reflection the youth bring to their services. I believe I've learned something new at every lay-led service I've attended, including youth-led services. And this serves to remind me that ministers don't know everything. It's true. We don't. The entire ministry becomes richer through the efforts of so many people, not just ministers. So I'm going to ask you, will you humor me for a moment? Please look at your hands. As my sermon title suggests, the work of ministry is the work of many hands. Not just these two hands or the two hands of your next minister, but all the hands out here too. The shared ministry, the collaborative ministry of any church is the work of all of your hands together. Someone may now be thinking, yeah, but what if these hands are doing something different than those hands? What if we're working at cross purposes? Learning to coordinate the many hands is the work of leaders in the congregation, of which there are many. But before I go on, however, let me address a source of confusion about leadership in churches. I'm opening up a can of worms now. I think the various concepts of hierarchy that abound and differ from one denomination to another distract from the work of collaborative ministry. In some denominations, there might be the concept of a top-down hierarchy with the minister at the pinnacle, standing on a pedestal, which, let me tell you, is a rather precarious place to stand. In other churches, individualism is a high value, and the minister and other church staff are thought to be at the bottom of a heap as some sort of servants. Other hierarchies include councils of elders or presbyters, or external authorities such as bishops. But the confusion arises from the fact that some may not realize that polity and governance are not the same thing as ministry. The work of ministry which is shared is about mission and vision. Polity and governance may be the way we organize ourselves to do that work, but they're not synonymous with the ministry. And that's an important distinction, I think, although I realize it can be difficult for some to separate the two. So regarding hierarchies and the roles of ministers in a shared ministry, let me share a metaphor. Rather than up on a pedestal or at the bottom of a heap, I envision the structures of a church as a constellation of stars. In the role of the minister, there may be a star shining there somewhere near the center of the constellation, but that star, the minister, is not the only star, nor is it necessarily the brightest and most powerful star. But it is there, near the center, helping to connect the other stars to each other so that they are a constellation rather than a formless field of stars with no relation to each other at all. When we look at our ministry, the collaborative work we do to make the world a better place, it is helpful to remember that we all put our heart and soul into it. It becomes rather important to be gentle with each other as we work together. I'm only a guest speaker here today, and otherwise I'm just a member here like many of you. But we have a collaborative ministry. It has the hearts and souls of all here, all who are lending your hands to this work. And for what it's worth, whenever the eventuality comes about at each of our churches, ministry does not end when the minister leaves, retires, or even dies. A star in the constellation may fade, but another will brighten. In fact, this is a continuous phenomenon throughout the life of a congregation. You're each stars, putting your energy into shining as a star in the constellation, or in other words, being a member aiding the work of your congregation's collaborative ministry. And as time moves along, this or that star may fade, but another here or there will brighten. It's an organic evolution of congregational life, as new hands pick up the work that another is ready to set down. It happens all the time with all people involved in a congregation of which the minister and his or her work, again, is only one star in the constellation. So, I have a message for the newest people here today. To continue my metaphor, you are like new stars just born into this constellation. Here, I hope you find community, which may even grow into something like a family. Like in all our congregations, here among the members of this community, you will find caring people who will be there in your times of need. You will also find people with deep passions about addressing some of the most egregious injustices of our wider society. You will find a reservoir of knowledge and intellectuals interested in exploring that with you. And you will find people who balance their spiritual lives with their social lives. They will encourage you to join them in solemn ritual occasions marking major milestones in life and death. And at other times, you will come together to laugh and sing. Most of all, dear new people, along with finding community, I hope you find a spiritual home here. For the longtime members here, I also have a message for you. Our congregation has for decades proudly stood in this community as a liberal religious beacon. In our constellation, you are each bright and beautiful stars. I encourage you to reconnect with the Quimper Fellowship's heritage and identity as a congregation, because this congregation's values, and yes, this is true all over, but I'm speaking to you today, this congregation's values are needed in the wider community now more than ever. Our society has perhaps reached a nadir, the lowest of low points, considering the leadership or lack of thereof in the other Washington, D.C. Over the last year, our churches have noticed an influx of new people, seeking a place that feeds their souls, that provides safe haven, that gives them comfort in an age of incivility and madness in our country. Within the embrace of this caring community, I'm sure this is true, that you have laughed and cried together, raised children and buried elders. You have become a family. I encourage you to open your embrace, welcoming others in so they may also join your family. This is something I say to all of our churches that I visit, and it is something that I hope that you take to heart. There is such a need for what you stand for, and we can make a difference in other people's lives if we make room for them. This is something you can do for any new person who crosses your threshold in the future. I also encourage you to open your arms and include church staff and your ministers as part of the family and not as outsiders looking in. I haven't heard that's the case here, but I have seen a need for that reminder elsewhere, so I share it. Also, since this congregation has stood at the forefront of social justice work in this community, I encourage you all to keep working together on that. Working together on some cause that improves life in the wider society is for the benefit of all, but also serves to strengthen your already strong bonds to the point that maybe they become virtually unbreakable. I'm reminded again of the grass bridge, in which the whole community worked together to make a strong and miraculous bridge across a deep chasm. You share with other UU congregations many traits. You are strong, caring, thoughtful, and wise. Build on your strengths, and you will be successful. And here's my final thought for the day. Collaborative ministry and the constellation that is our congregation are both like a dance. Stars dance across the heavens, just as in congregational life. A dance may change tempo from time to time, and the one who leads may also change. And yet it is an activity that works best when the dancers are in sync with each other, working together. A beloved UU hymn that we will sing says, "Let it be a dance we do, may I have this dance with you." That's what it's all about. May it ever be so, and blessed be you all. Our closing hymn is Let It Be a Dance. That's number 311 in the gray hymnal. You're invited to rise in body or in spirit. Prophets from years long past have said, as it has ever been, so shall it ever be, that we need each other. We always have and always will. We cannot go it alone. Look around you at the faces you see, of friends and family, even those you have just met. We are all part of something greater. Also witness the faces of people elsewhere, people you may not know yet are in need of help, young and old, mostly poor. This is the call of prophets from all the ages. Let us feed the hungry, let us clothe the naked, let us heal the sick, and let us speak truth to power everywhere. Finally, may the benefits of worship today be embodied in the coming week, and may we all help one another, just as others have helped each one of us. May it ever be so, and blessed be you all. Invited joining our extinguishing words. We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Blessed be.